Just this past year has been the hardest year of my life, even in business, now that we have 2 shops. But it's also been like the most rewarding year.
I honestly just thought work was supposed to be hard.
Right.
I didn't know it could be fun until we started Nirvana Soul. And I was like, oh, people can enjoy what they do for work. I thought it was a grind.
There's no age minimum to be a legend. And I consider myself a living legend in real time. Because I don't know if I'm the girl to be elderly. I don't know what the universe got us to. I can go tomorrow. So I got to claim my legacy status now.
I'm going to wait till I'm 100, so.
Thank you guys for having us here. I'm here with Melissa Muganzo. I'm here with Veronica and Bianca of Nirvana Soul. Tell us real quick, where are we?
We are actually at our roastery. This is where we make all the coffee and get it out to the shops and to the people around the world, really.
In North San Jose, yep.
Yeah, how long has this been? Have you guys been posted up here?
Ooh, almost 3 years.
Yeah, close to 3 years. Yeah. We opened our first shop 3 years ago, September, and the roastery followed soon after that within our first year. So yeah, about 2.5 years or so.
That's incredible. Yeah, like me being here right now, I'm just very grateful just because I know I'm here with trailblazers, you know, like Melissa Muganzo, the first Black queer entertainment company in Sacramento, first Black queer coffee shop in San Jose. I mean, I just love to just get right into it is the story of Nirvana Soul.
Yeah, so we've always loved coffee. Well, I'll say I've always loved coffee. So coffee dates back to when we were like young. At the time, we was probably not supposed to be drinking coffee. We were raised by a great grandma, and she would make coffee in the morning, Folgers, and give us the last bit of her coffee. And to me, that was just like us being young, like 6, 7 years old, sitting at a table, you know, breaking bread and just having that time before school. That's something that always like sat with me. You know, it was like a community, even me not understanding what community really was. And then I worked at Pete's Coffee. That was my first job in coffee, 16, 17 years old. And I right away, like my first day, I was like, I'm definitely gonna, you know, own a coffee shop one day. This is what I want to do because I just love the customers coming in, but I also love the staff that I work with and how they would like really direct me and just like empower me. And I was just like, okay, like I wasn't thinking that, oh, this is not something Black people don't do. I just love that feeling. That was a high that like I got that I wasn't getting from any other part of my life. I knew like this is something I can do and no one can take this from me. So that was kind of the journey I went on, and I spent the rest of my life up to us opening up Nirvana Soul in and out of different coffee shops. I'm helping other people open up their businesses. And finally, I just talked to my sister and I was just like, let's, you know, I don't know how that happened. I feel like we was having a conversation and she kind of was like, yeah, like, I'm going to help you, you know? And I feel like, okay, that's what I needed because it's hard doing this by yourself, you know? So,
I mean, it's hard, like, feeling like you're by yourself too. Like we were just talking about before we started recording, is like, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders, you know, being the founders, the CEOs, the owners.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually tried to open up a coffee shop when I was 22 by myself, and I had like zero support. And we were mentioning this before, you know, we got started right now too. It's like you have your family not really supporting you. And I think the Dronica as a 22-year-old was very insecure. Was like, maybe this is just like a pipe dream, because I would hear like, you don't see any Black coffee shops. Like how is this going to happen? I didn't know who to talk to, where to go to. It just seemed like it just was a very difficult time. I never was like, this is not going to happen, but I was just like, this definitely needs to be on hold right now until I can figure it out. So I do believe like timing is just everything. Fast forward like 10 plus years later, I was just in a better space and doing it with my sister. We were like, okay, I felt more confident, like we could really make this happen.
That's something I definitely want to double back to, is the fact that, you know, you guys are sisters working together in a business. But just going back to that point about you mentioning your family being a little bit apprehensive, a little hesitant to the business, and that's like a through line I think for Melissa as well, is what it was exactly about your guys' lifestyle that maybe they weren't exactly excited for, and maybe how you were able to like alleviate some of those fears.
I think the most fortunate thing about our upbringing is that we were surrounded by a lot of really hardworking Black women. And so that work ethic is so deeply instilled in us, and it's a big part of the reason why Nirvana Soul exists today. That might be the number one reason, because you have to work so hard and so diligently, and we know where that comes from. And so the other side of that is that Black people in this country have also just had to work to survive. So it wasn't really intentional work in a lot of ways. And if there was anything behind it, it was so that the next generation would be better off. But it wasn't exactly like, I'm doing this so that my kids can pursue their creative dreams and live their freest, fullest life. It wasn't like that. Yeah. And so I think our mom or maybe our family, and Andronica, you can tell me how it felt to you. For me, it was more indifferent. So it wasn't like they were stopping me per se. They just didn't even know what was possible. Like that's not the life that they lived or even really dreamed about. So they're like, whatever she does for work, still to this day, people don't know what I do for work. They're like, whatever, like you're surviving, you're paying your bills, and that's all that kind of matters to me. But I know I had more of a green light story. Me and Dronica talk about this all the time. I had more green lights in my life than Dronica did. So she probably felt it differently.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, so I think there was a lot of responsibilities on me. So it's funny when I think about it. So my mom has 2 other siblings. So in their dynamics is 2 girls and a boy. Ours,
same order.
Yeah, same order. Ours is 2 girls and a boy. And my mom had to help take care of like my grandma and her siblings. Well, I also had to help take care of my siblings, you know? So it was kind of like the same things over again. We're like, okay, how do we break this cycle to like me saying I can do something like for myself, and not feeling like I'm disappointing like my family. But I had to get out of my head because this is our life. Like, this is my life, you know? Like, you did the things that you felt like you needed to do to survive and to take care of us. I'm grateful for that. But I want to try something a little bit different. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, because at least I was willing to try something a little bit different. What about you, Melissa?
You know, this is my jam. I love talking about this because one thing is, I have really good mentors in my life, and I also know when a mentor can no longer serve me, and we have now become direct colleagues, and I need to go seek out new leadership, new mentorship, new advisees, all of that. One of my greatest mentors of all time told me that there's no such thing as reality. We are our own reality. Like, we are our own universe. We control that. We are walking manifestations of everything we believe, and we present as we believe about ourselves every day. And once she told me that, I was like, you're onto something there, right? Because no one's going to see the vision we have for ourselves. Only we know that. No one is going to be able to execute the assignment we think that we actually are capable of. Only we know that. So we are actually our own universes, walking around here, living out our wildest dreams in real time in this realm. And that for me has really stuck with me. Like, I am what I believe. That's powerful as hell. And to know that I have worked for the last 35 years to develop this person that presents here today, which means I have full oversight over what I can do, what I can achieve, who I can be. And the fact that I used to give that away to my family's opinions, to my friends' opinions, to supervisors' opinions is actually crazy to think about now. But before, I literally heavily weighed their opinion on my life, not recognizing that no matter what they provide me, which is all recommendations, it's not fact, I'm here to execute what I believe is true about myself, and really on this journey of stop giving my power away. And when people say that, they're like, I would never give my power away, but they don't realize what that looks like, right? That's when you have an idea, instead of knowing it's good, going to your friends and being like, let me run this by you. You just gave it away because you're depending on now their opinion to either affirm or deny, or say, I'm really thinking this is a good idea, but let me just post it one time to see if anybody likes it. Just gave it away again because you are not confident in yourself. You do not believe yourself that this is a good enough idea. And so when I started to realize I was so trained to eat away at myself or give away my power away from people that I thought would have insight or influence over me, I had to curb that immediately, and through therapy and really just like being an executor. A lot of people are dreamers. A lot of people are visionaries, but they're so afraid to execute. You want to know why? Because now you either are what you believe. And if you are insecure about your own identity or what you can do, it's not going to happen. My therapist gave me this really good insight. She was like, fix your self-esteem, fix your career. Fix your algorithms, fix your career. She's always saying that. Like, we are in control of this. Like, we don't know the future, but we can do some adjustment work in real time that will help us execute. So I love talking about stuff like this because we literally are so powerful. And as soon as we lean in and lock in and tap into all the greatest inside of us, that's when the magic happens. That's when shit gets fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's when it gets real fun.
And that's like the life's balance is like, how much is it just letting life happen and, letting the universe give you what it needs to give, and also you willing it into existence. And do you guys still struggle with that idea of like giving your power over to someone else, or maybe it being taken away from you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big aha moment for me was when I was in my own therapy session and my therapist said something that just changed everything about how I think about life, which is that there's a difference between being and doing. And you kind of have to thrive at both. But you have to understand them as separate parts of yourself. So who you are is not what you do, and vice versa, right? That kind of takes away from the need to have that validation, someone else to tell you that you're doing the right thing, because you're so solid in who you are when you're just being, that the doing should be more satisfying on the other side, right? Because who we are, just like born out the womb, is someone who's worthy, who's good enough. Our ticket to be here has been paid for, and in our case is in blood, right? So like maybe our ancestors didn't know what that ticket was going to be for, but it was for this.
Yes.
And so anything that we now achieve with Nirvana Soul or otherwise, it's so much sweeter because we don't have to do any of that. We literally could just wake up and just do whatever we want. And we're choosing to do something excellent. And that is the best thing we can do for those who paid for us to be here.
Absolutely.
I
love that.
That's how you break that generational trauma cycle, is by doing something with it that, they'd never even thought of, something that builds their name up to something even better. So did you guys have anything to add to that?
I love it. I mean, it sounds like legacy work. I say this phrase all the time that there's no age minimum to be a legend. And I consider myself a living legend in real time. Because I don't know if I'm the girl to be elderly. I don't know what the universe got us. I could go to work. So I got to claim my legacy status now.
I'm going to live till I'm 100, so.
I already only got 1.5 knees. This right one is bothering me. So I gotta own my legacy status now. I don't know if you're gonna be doing knee replacements at 40, So it's just one of those things where I'm learning, like, even if I don't do anything else, I've already done more than enough. And it's time to have fun and to enjoy the fruits of my labor and to enjoy just being a Black girl that knows exactly who she is. Like, I've worked really hard to understand who I am, what I'm about, who I want in my life, what type of circle I thrive off of. And now that I'm here, because before I wasn't here, but now that I'm here, like, that to me is unstoppable energy. And I'm very confident in what I can bring. I know my capacity. I know where I'm willing to stretch. I know where my non-negotiables are. Like, I'm way more solid in that. And so that for me is like, okay, now that I got that under control, it's all gas at this point. And so I'm just ready to give this life a full shot.
Oh, I love that so much, what you're saying, just about enjoying it, because that was the missing link, I think, in previous generations. Like, I honestly just thought work was supposed to be hard.
Right.
Like, I didn't know it could be fun until we started Nirvana Soul, and I was like, oh, people can enjoy what they do for work? I thought it was a grind. That's all I've ever seen.
That's all you ever hear.
Yeah, exactly.
All you ever hear.
And so the fact that there is this other way of living your life and experiencing your life through the work that you're producing, I think it's really exciting for all of us, and I want that for all of us.
Yes. I mean, I want to tap on what you were just saying, too. I think for me, just this past year has been the hardest year of my life, even in business, now that we have 2 shops. But it's also been, like, the most rewarding year. Like, I've been, feeling more confident, more like, okay, I can do it. Like you say, I say all the time, like, God, if this is it, if we only have 2 shops, this is more than enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bianca had tapped on it, too, like, our ancestors paved the way. Like, we got to be raised with our great grandma who died at 100 years old, like the wisdom that she put in us, like working hard, making us feel like we can really do anything because she wasn't able to, her mother was like a slave. So just seeing her story and being a part of her story every single day, I don't know, it's just like an unmatched feeling. Like, it makes you feel like, okay, every win that like I get, I'm like, okay, like this is a win for her, and like, the things that she went through. And honestly, I just want to make her proud. So I'm very intentional too about the people that I like let in my life, and that I, how I'm like walking every single day like matters to me, and just like knocking out. If I don't have time for it, then I don't have time for it, and I'm okay with that too. But Yeah, it's a cycle for sure.
Yeah.
Something I want to touch on, and I'm curious how y'all feel about this too, and even you, Chesco, honestly, is how successes and rejection go hand in hand. I have noticed that when people think somebody has made it in their version of whatever that looks like, and because for most people that grind, I don't know if you ever feel like you made it because you dream so much and and then when you're having fun, you're just ready to just try everything and go as large and as long and like you're just in it, just enjoying yourself. But other people will put this cap on you. So if you've surpassed that cap, they're like, you've made it. You must be a cajillionaire and everything is good and you're like swimming in money banks and like shit is good. But in reality, I don't think people understand that if you have the audacity to go after your dream that only you can see, one, how vulnerable that is, but also how many like side eyes and no's and negative talks and negative commentary and the downplay that people that have the audacity to go for their dreams really go for. And for anybody that's listening that has this dream that they cannot stop dreaming about, because that's when you know.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
No matter when, I mean, when shit is terrible, like, and you're like, you know what? I still believe that little piece of faith, that is a dream, right? That you're clearly supposed to execute that only you can see. People are so good at chewing away at an idea that you're already vulnerable, simply sharing to other people because they can't see the excellence that they know that only you can bring. And so I just want to encourage anybody that's out there that's thinking like, it'd be so cool. Keep that. Hold on to that. But also be prepared to know that it's this really interesting spectrum of yeses and nos along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not smooth. Just like the dream that I had to own a coffee shop has always been there. And I always often say, like, people just want to wake up and be successful. They want to be rich. And I'm just like, when I was sleeping on people's couches, I knew I was going to have a coffee shop. When I was driving Lyft, I knew I was going to have a coffee shop. When I only had $2 in my bank account, I knew I was going to have a coffee shop. I was telling people, like, 10 years, I had the name Nirvana Soul before we had a coffee shop. I was so like, this is going to happen one day. Like, no matter what was going on in my life, I wasn't letting, people's, insecurities or whatever could pour onto you. And I have my days like, maybe this is like a pipe dream, but it was never like, okay, I'm not going to do this. It was just a matter of when. And then when you get on the other side, now it's a whole different thing of people like, oh, you think you're too good, or you're better than me. It's like all these things that are like happening at the same time, but just being mindful that like, this is your dream, this is your story, and you have to keep going and block out the noise and just have fun with it.
This is so funny too, because I feel like there's so many layers and so many things that we're not saying about how challenging it is when there's people saying no and discouraging your dream. And so I kind of want to flip it to the other side of that, right? Because I can be empathetic or sympathetic to people who've never seen something happen, right? So when they do see a physical, in our case, brick and mortar shop, we have made it. For a lot of people, they're like, you have to pay for this building, so you must be doing well enough to do that. You just opened another shop. Oh my gosh, that you're really doing a roaster. You have a shop. Like, this is so far already beyond what people even have ever, especially people who look like us. So what I would encourage them to do is to fight that thing inside. I think all of us that wants to tear something down that seems scary. You know what I mean? There's something in people that makes them want to hate rather than throw more love and encouragement at the people who are doing something that they've never seen. And I think you have to challenge yourself, because what comes natural to all of us is to do the opposite. So I just want people to really try hard to, when they feel that thing coming inside of them, like, ooh, they think they're better than me, or, oh my God, this is too much. Like, say, you know what, this is a good thing that they're doing. And I'm going to like encourage them, and I'm going to send them positive vibes. And I'm just going to be a cheerleader, because why would I hate on something so beautiful? That's what I want people to do. So maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I don't know.
I mean, I resonate with a lot of what you guys are saying, because I know we're just meeting for the first time, but, for me personally, I'm trying to get into the media whole thing with podcasting and whatnot. I have a YouTube channel that do like music discussion on, R&B and hip hop and stuff. So there's definitely been, and it's some of it's taken off. Like to people that I've known since middle school, they're just looking at me like I'm on some pedestal. But really I'm going through the same things that they're going through. Whether it be with school, whether it be relationships, with just mental health and life, and family passing away, stuff like that. Just because of the career that we've all chosen, that because it's so public, it makes it seem like we're strong enough to always be in the public, and when really it's like, no, this is just what the job requires.
Yeah.
And I chose this life, so I also, that means choosing all the troubles that come with it. So
yeah, you become superhuman or something.
Yeah.
So you don't have feelings anymore. And
Right,
you're not a real
right.
person anymore. And it's just so not the case. But me and Dronica always saying, no one's going to cry for the business owner. You know what I mean? There is no one out here like, everyone's like boo-hoo, right? Like you're saying, like you signed up for this. And so that feels to them like a pass to say whatever they want because they don't have what you have. It's not right, but it's definitely something that happens. So you just got to hang in there, keep going, and also find a network of people who also are doing like big things. Because if you want to be doing big things yourself, your network is going to matter. Like Melissa said, like sometimes you got to level up your mentors. Now, they're a colleague of yours. You got to find someone who's doing something bigger or greater. And it's nothing against the people who you're sort of leaving behind or moving beyond. It just...
You just have to do new energy to feed off.
Yeah, new energy, new encouragement, new vision. You just have to keep sort of leveling up if you want that.
Right. On that same point, I'd love for you guys just to talk about some of your role models growing up, whether it be celebrities, whether it be people in your lives, can be like a fictional character even, because like I know that a lot of what y'all are doing is so ambitious. So even if it stretches into like a TV show character, like that works too.
That is so great because I have a hodgepodge of all of that. I knew I wanted to be an actor when I watched Living Single. When I watched Max's character,
Definitely Max.
Max,
You are Max.
Me and Max go together. Like Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, like she's played in other things, but that specific role, I was like,
That was a show for sure.
I can get used to that. I love how dominant she was. I loved how comedic she was. I love that she liked to eat all the time.
Oh, eggplant. Back off, it's mine.
And that she also was very honest how she struggled with like love and being vulnerable in relationships. I just feel like her role was like very much the complex nature of the Black girl, just trying to exist in society, like career, love, fun, social light, ambition. Like I love that. Then y'all know I love Beyonce. And I say that because Queen Bee, King Bee, literally because she's learned how to monetize her essence. Because she understands that no matter what she does, people will buy into her, the brand. And so she can do hair, she could do clothing, she could do country music, because people believe in her work ethic and believe in her ability to be excellent and execute. And no matter what she does, I feel like when people hear, and she's a monolithic name, like it's like the Beyonce, like you don't need nothing else. And you know exactly who we're talking about. Yeah. And I love that she's trademarked everything. So there's never going to be a second Beyonce, a second Blue Ivy. Like it's not happening. Like, everything is like sealed tight. So I think she has strong business structure and she's always like opening doors and she has a really solid creative team. You can actually tell. Yeah. And something like, I believe in that and the ability to be a global brand. I'm sure that's not easy. And to be something that's sought after everywhere. That type of superstardom, like that's something to be revered. Yeah. That is very, very hard to execute. And she knew very early that she was meant to be great. But I think even someday she's like, I cannot believe like I am this person that you have a global tour multiple times that people are about to combust on Ticketmaster just to go be next to you. Like we're not even close to you. We're just happy to be in your air. Yeah. Like just to know that you are nearby is like, like that shit is excellent. So that I love that. And then for myself, I really, really enjoy looking at like the Nia Longs and the Sanaa Lathans, and she's complicated, but even the Jada Pinkett's that have taken really good care of themselves and are proud to be in their late 40s and 50s and early 60s and are looking excellent. Like Angela Bassett's. Like I'm also looking at them too, like skin on 10, hair on 10, body on 10, hands on 10, on 10. You know, like I want to age in a way that it's like, damn, you look fine. You know, I don't know how old you are. I gotta Google you to see when were you born. Like all of that together is something to be excited about. Or like the Pinky Coles, the Slutty Vegan, or the Tabitha Browns that, you know, in her 40s started to really pick up, but did all this work along the way. And only she believed in her vision when her own family was like, it might be time to tap out. And boom, you know, that's when she started to pick up, and just by being herself. So all of that is what I always aspire to be, is successful as myself, in my skin, opening doors, creating platforms where I can, collaborating along friends and family that I love and respect at all times. So when it's time for, as Issa Rae says, ratchet yacht parties, it's all my friends, you know? And we're all successful in our own right, but it's because we all committed to connecting with each other, but believing in our dreams. And Issa Rae, of course, is another person that's iconic, you know, took something out of her own mind and now is in multiple deals, you know, on behalf of her own excellence. Like, that is to be applauded.
And I think another point on the King Bee is that she's piggybacking off a lot of your points, is like she's in her 50s and she's this, like you said, monolithic figure, like Beyonce, like the weight of that name.
Like, that's it.
And she's still able to reinvent herself. Like every single album is something different. Like this recent one with Renaissance, like house album, Afro beats, like that's such a different lane for her, and yet she was able to do it in such a big way and able to pay homage to, you know, pioneers in that genre. So I mean, the fact that she's still feeling like the pressure to reinvent herself, to level up, like you mentioned, okay, like if she's still feeling like that, I got to do something about that too. Like,
I think when I see it, I just see possibilities. I see them out here being great, and it just lets you know, like, you could be great too. Like, it just inspires you to keep going, you know, like that is another way to like light a fire up under you. Is just like to keep going and knowing that like they're doing something great, I'm doing something great. You just never know where your path will like lead you, you know? So I don't know. It's super inspiring for sure.
You listed quite a few, all of them, and I'm not someone who's had a lot or maybe mentors in my life. I get a lot of my motivation from books. So I'm an operations person. I always say Dronika's the why person, the visionary, right? And I'm the how person. So I'm going to let her know how we're going to step by step make something happen. So I read a lot about systems and processes and business philosophy, culture. A book that inspired me a lot was Start With Why by Simon Sinek. He has a great TED Talk on that too, probably one of the most viewed TED Talks. Another book called Essentialism. I think the author is Greg McKeown. And it's just basically like, what is the minimal number of things we can do to have the greatest impact? And so I'm always trying to have us be as essential as we can be. And then a book that I read every single year, and I really just gifted it to someone else who reached out to us about a year and a half ago, wanted to start their own business, is What I Know For Sure, which is a collection of Oprah's O Magazine columns. And it's just her perspective on power, on clarity, on joy, and a few other categories where it plays more to that being side of your life and then will inspire you on the doing side of your life. So yeah, maybe it's not particular people at all times. I'm sure the people are in the soup, of course, but it really is more about philosophy and the way people think and the way people get things done is usually what is motivating for me.
Yeah, that's also very important. And also you touched on something I'd also like to discuss is like, you know, you kind of bring like the technical aspect of it, and then you bring the visionary aspect of it. I'd love to talk about just like, what is it like owning a business with your sister? I don't know. Is it like where you have to almost like put on a different face when you're running the business, and then all of a sudden we're back to being family? Or are you guys able to kind of blur the lines as well? That's
so funny, because on the way over here, we were just talking about how incredible it is that we get to do this being 100% ourselves, and that is what we worked for, is so that we don't have to switch up. We have done that enough in our lives and our careers, playing on both sides, doing this double consciousness thing, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, with Dronica, we live together, we work together, we're best friends, we've always been. Yeah, there's going to be hard times. We haven't had many together, to be honest.
In our life?
Yeah, in our life. Yeah, like we just click. Like, I'm sure there's just a Leo Cancer thing that happened. Irish twins who are 11 months apart. No one understands me or supports me like Dronica does. And yeah, I think it's probably the same. We just are soulmates. Like, we're real life soulmates. And so we work really well together.
And just the things that she is able to see that I might not be able to do, or I might not be as confident. And she just sees it. She just clicks in that way. And that's been like our whole life. You know, I'm, fun, funny. Like, I have like lots of ideas, but I don't always know how to put that down, like on like paper. Okay, how did we get here? And she always jumps in. I'm like, okay, like I see what you're trying to do, but this is how it needs to be done, And so it really is like a blessing to have that kind of dynamics, for sure.
I mean, did you guys always, like, as kids, I'm just going into childhood, you guys always
got along?
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
So funny story real quick. So we always had our own room, but Bianca never wanted to have her own room. She wanted to sleep with me. So it was a long time. My mom got us bunk beds and everything like that. So we're just in one room, and Bianca's room would end up being like the playroom or just extra room. So I'm like, finally in high school, like, girl, can you clear out that space so I can have my own room? You think you grown in high school, trying to have little boys or situation. And I'm like, girl, get your own room.
No, it's so funny you say that. I'm the exact same way with my brother in high school. I it was like almost like I had to make appointments for like, can I please get the room at like
girl. So we've always been super, super close. Like, honestly, to me, like, the biggest blessing I have in my life is that she is my sister, that I get to be her sister for sure. Like, it's wild. So,
and the crazy thing is, we're really different people too, like drastically different sometimes. Like, I'm much more introverted than Dronica is. Dronica's very like big and bold, and like when she walks into a room, like people just like, you feel that energy. I don't really have that. You know what I mean? Like, I can be low key in a room getting a lot of shit done and no one will even notice, and I'm okay with that. And so we just like feel maybe the cracks of the other person in a really, a really cool and unique way.
Kind of going on that note is like, I want to talk about building relationships in the business and kind of working with people that you have relationships with. Obviously, you guys are sisters, but Melissa, you've also, I get the sense from talking to people at your screening tours that you're almost like building friendships as you're meeting work acquaintances. Has that always been easy for you, building work relationships, and also has that gotten harder over time as, your schedule builds up, all that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a people person. I've always been a people person. I've always been that person that like wanted to go to the playground and kick it with everybody. Like, I want to know you and you and you and you. And I want to know you individually and then as a group. And then I'm also a connector and a collaborator. So I've always brought that. I call it Big Capricorn Energy, BCE. I call the show knows what it is, Big Capricorn. But at the same time, I also got my feelings hurt a lot because I am someone that is always coming in super genuine, super authentic. And I'm a force. Because when I come in, you gonna know. I almost said you gonna know you're real here. So, but on the other side of that, some people are not welcoming to that. Some people are threatened by that. Some people want to attack that. And so I've definitely been the person where when I went to go make a relationship with someone, I thought they were being genuine, and then they were the same person that, were stabbing me in the back or trying to sabotage me or working against me when I'm not around or having additional meetings about me because they were threatened by my ability to take over a room or not be afraid of the limelight or not be afraid of the stage or not be afraid of my own voice. Like, that was something I saw, and I was like, it be your own
100%. Yeah. Your own people.
And so that was discouraging for a little bit there because then I had trust issues. I was like, are you my friend? Like, literally with my eyebrow up with everybody. But then I was like, you know what? When I'm protected by the ancestors and the universe got my back, and you can't work against me because karma itself is going to do its thing. And I'm coming with good intent. So after I understood that, I just went back to just being myself and just was like, it is what it is. If people decide not to work with me, work alongside me, or want to work against me or be anti me, let that be. But let me also trust that early. Like, if you got burned the first time, come on. And so I'm, again, trusting yourself, trusting your gut, and believing in your ability to have enough capacity to understand what you see is real and true the first time. And so now I don't even get scared no more. Because I'm like, if I met you, if I was good, there'll be a second time. I met you, vibes is bad. That's it. You know, like, and that happens in business
100%.
relationships. That happens in friendships, new and old, because I've also seen a shift in my friendships that are long-standing. I was like, oh, we're not meant to be friends long-term, which is, that's a really painful road to come across where you're like, I thought we was good. We're not good? Oh, man. And then meeting people and being almost damn near best friends in a year. Like, I just met you and I feel like I can never see life without you. So I trust myself in that now. And if I'm going to do business with you, I got to know you first. I don't just be hopping in the... Because it's wild out here. It is real wild. And like, I need to know your core. I need to know your foundation. I need to feel you on a spiritual level, on a vibe level. Like, because sometimes you meet somebody and they're cool, but they're not cool for business.
Yeah.
They could just be cool, you know? And I'm learning to kind of trust that, like, oh, you're just a cool person, but we probably shouldn't collaborate. Because of the way that I like to execute. And the way I like to execute is probably not a good mesh. And so learning that too. So I'm on a journey with that. But I trust myself way more now. So I'm not afraid to meet people and have conversation because my bullshit meter is getting stronger. It's getting stronger. So I was talking to Michelle about this. I think this is why Beyonce don't go outside.
100%.
She don't have time. And that's why Blue Ivy also is not outside. Because I'm like, if I'm getting this, then I still have right. She has seen it all. And I know these stars have seen it all. And so their meter of who is really about it, who is worth putting in the time, who has real potential, who is like, you have potential, but it's not for me to cultivate. Like those type of understandings early. Yeah, I'm excited about growing in that.
It's funny that I 100% agree with everything you just said.
Right?
And
I'm also a people person.
I am a people person, but there was a shift in me because
she was more of a people person.
Yeah,
before.
I definitely was. But the thing, just being in business, being the face of a company, learning how, like, seeing that you can't trust everybody,
and it's a responsibility.
It is a responsibility.
Yes.
I'm not on Beyonce's level, but I don't be outside like that anymore either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm very protective of myself and my space and the people around me. And like you said, like once that like bullshit meter goes off, I'm like, I'm not messing with you. That's employees, that's family. It doesn't feel right inside of me, so I can't deal with it. And I'm okay with that. But I definitely felt like I've had to grow up a lot in the last year too. So, but I am still myself, but I'm able to see things in a whole different light than I was when we first opened up. A lot more naive back then. And now I'm like, oh, okay, like this is how you come in? All right, you know? So.
Yeah, and it sounds like the main thing to develop is that a willingness to cut ties and just let things go. Like that, like you mentioned, like it's hard at first to be like, damn, like we were, you know, friends since forever and now I gotta cut them off. But as things go on, as you get a little more jaded in that sense, it starts to be like, no, I gotta protect, you know, my peace. I got to build my walls a little bit. And
because it's not just like about you anymore. It's about what you're building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to be mentally strong
There's
for
more
that.
on the table.
Physically, you know what I'm saying? There's more on the table. So it's just like, we're building something great. Melissa's doing something great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always say, like, Tyler Perry said it one time and we were watching like a Heart to Heart show. He was like, all these people kind of saying things and I'm looking ahead, you know? And that just like clicked with me so well. Like, I'm looking ahead. I don't have time for what you guys are talking about, what you guys are saying about me. You're not going to get to like get in my way. Like, I'm not going to give you that power because I'm already at Nirvana Soul number 20. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm already there. So
right. We have such a strong and big vision for what this is. And in the beginning, it was easy for us to get distracted trying to make our relationships smoother with everyone, or we would compromise here and there. Like, oh, maybe it doesn't have to be like that. Maybe we can open ourselves up. And then we realized, like, no, like this is who we are. This is what our brand is. We are not going to compromise that. And we're okay if it doesn't work for you. Because there's a lot of other people that it will work for, and we're building this for them. Right. And so that is, I think, the best place to get to. And it sounds like we all have gotten there where you're like, this is 100% me. And take it or leave it. And I'm okay if you leave it. Right? Because either way, this train is rolling on. Like, it doesn't stop for anything. So you're like, get right or get left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes with once you realize like nobody can reject you when you've accepted yourself. So if people are not supportive of it or want it or with it, it's like, okay.
And the way you want it too.
Yeah.
Because that matters. Because I feel like, and you guys can tell me how you felt about it, like when you're Black or a person of color, you have had to like adjust to fit into this mold of how work is supposed to be, what professional means, what all, like, you have shape shifted to just survive. And when you finally get to a place where you're like, I don't want to do that anymore, and I don't have to do that anymore. You're not going to let anyone want to come into you and say, like, you have to be different for them. For you? Like, no, I'm not going to be different for you. Like, you have to get with our program, or you have to get out. Like, there is no other way this is going to work. Yeah. We lost a lot of time doing it the other way. We probably lost a good maybe 6, maybe more months of the last year trying to get to the place now where we're like, we're not going to play that shit anymore. But it's not something that happens overnight. And I don't know if anyone comes out the gate swinging with that attitude. You know what I mean? Because you have to kind of go through some things first. You kind of assume, like, I was so naive when we started this. I was like, why wouldn't people support us? Why wouldn't your team just do what you ask them to do? Like, why wouldn't they want to be a part of this in the way that we see it, which is so beautiful? But the truth is,
prove you wrong.
Yeah, they don't see it like that. They don't see, and they're coming from their own vantage points. Sure, this could be just a job, or it could just be something they don't think is that great after all. Like, I don't know why people get to the place that they are, but we lost a lot of time trying to make it work with people we shouldn't have. And now that we're there, we would never go back. Like, we're like, as soon as we see something that's funny, like, you can't be here anymore. Yeah.
I mean, do you have any regrets from that time period?
I don't. I feel like we needed to learn those lessons, you know. First of all,
they were hard lessons.
Yeah. I mean, for us, our team, I mean, is mostly Black and brown, you know. You don't see that in a lot of spaces, too. And it's like me being like maybe one of the only in coffee at a lot of the shops I worked at. I knew my traumas and my, you know, shortcomings, but when you put all those people together, I'm talking about like our team is like legit Black and brown. We have a lot of queer people on our team. These are all people, everyone on our team are all people that the world has been like, you're not good enough. No, you can't. Y'all don't do this. We don't do things that way, you know?
So they were the only ones at their former shops.
Right. So they're coming in like with their trauma. And that was something that I didn't see. We didn't expect, because I'm like, we just gonna get the best of the best from everywhere. All the people that, you know.
Because they had to be excellent. So of course we get great baristas.
Yeah, we do. But it's the traumas that come along that, you know what I'm saying? And then being younger, and then you having to kind of just like look back, and it's just like, okay, if we're gonna be great, we all have to like really be working together. I don't have time to hear you tell me we're not, you know, doing it like Starbucks does it this way or vice versa, whatever the situation is. Go to fucking Starbucks. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, we get to do things our way. We are like legit changing the course of what people see, what they thought was like norm. You know, we are qualified, and I'm going to move accordingly. And like Bianca said, you could either stay on the train or you can get off, but either way, we're going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So
that's that power of choice. When you get to make your own rules, a lot of us haven't been able to do that. So it seems scary to hit your horse to someone who looks like you, who's now making the rules, you know? We've all felt safer to hitch our horse to people who don't look like us, who are in the majority, because we were like, you have earned trust over your generations of being a white person. So, like, exactly. So you must know what you're talking about. I feel safe doing that. Even if you don't like it, you feel safe doing it. So now it's like you're doing this with someone who looks like you. You're like, I don't know if they really know what they're doing. It's a little bit scary. I just think that power of choice is something I want us to each get to, and our team to get to, because we do have autonomy, we do have agency, and there is no better feeling than knowing like I get to do this my own way. Like, I get to wake up today and decide what to do with my life. That's pretty crazy.
They're definitely getting into something that I want to share about bringing people inside of your dream. It is the most vulnerable experience. You ever had a dream and said, I'm going to hire somebody to help me execute my dream? You know what type of trust that takes to say, I'm going to bring somebody into my most vulnerable time of my life where things are very shaky. I'm learning every day, and I have to give you direction even though I don't have no direction. And I have to give you vision even though I don't have a vision.
That's the hard part.
And I got to make sure you get paid even though sometimes I'm not going to get paid.
100%.
Like, it is the most vulnerable thing. And somebody that's going to learn. I always tell the time, my team speaks Melissa. because I'm a very complex person. But I need people that are like, okay, Melissa today is on 10. This is what that means. Or Melissa today is on 1. This is what that means. And know and be able to navigate the greatness and the struggles of being the person that's responsible. So before I was an entertainer full time, because I feel like I was always an entertainer, but I stepped into it officially in 2021. Like it was an all gas, like it's either going to go, I'm going to explode, or I'm going to do this. But I have to do this. Like, I was skipping out of work because I wanted to do this. This one, I was like, I can't be a toxic employee. I gotta go. But before that, when I was still playing that line of like part-time, side hustle, passion projects, I remember I had reached out to Beyonce's choreographer, Ashley, myself on DM. This is when I knew I had the guts. DM, got a hold of her agent, booked her to come to the Sac State to do a dance class.
Wow.
And then convinced my supervisor to pay for her. Mind you, I was a college advisor. I had nothing to do with concerts or entertainment, nothing. So imagine you're in an organization and you have an employee that you don't know is reaching out to somebody to bring them to your organization. This is how reckless I was, okay? Confident, but reckless. Strong and wrong, as my mom would say. Strong and wrong. I went to the vice president to ask for money. Again, my lane is academic advising. I'm a college advisor, not working entertainment at all. And by myself, went to the vice president like, yo, I need 3 bands because I booked. What do you mean you booked? Like, that's like one of your baristas telling you, I booked J. Cole to come into poetry night. You'd be like, what do you mean you booked?
I would be like, I love every part of that.
Didn't tell you at all. Like, strong and wrong. I started to learn how when you don't have control over the money, you really don't have control over any of this. Because then I learned about like, oh, we need contracts and lawyers. And then she wanted a deposit. And I was like, oh, I don't have the deposits. And then I was talking to her agent like, okay, well, can I do this? I was going to front my own paycheck to get the deposit and then have the school pay me. It was like reckless. Once I realized it wasn't going to work out, like it was burning fast. It was really coming down fast. And so I had to email her and tell her, unfortunately, this is not going to happen. And she never responded. And that feeling of like, I know this is a good idea. This will bring so much traction. Oh, but I'm not in charge. There's layers to being in charge. Mm-hmm. That's when I knew I need to run this. Because when I have a good idea, I'll be ready to go. Like, I'm an all gas person, like bulldoze, like I'm ready to go. But then I realized I had to ask and then ask and then ask and then ask. And I was like, that is
whack.
How you gonna tell me what's time when I'm tired? Right? And once that happened to me, that sealed it for me. Like, this is over. Like, I'm going for this because I want to say this is a good idea. I know this will create mass impact. And I want to sign the checks. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sign them myself. I'm going to be responsible myself. I'm going to book this myself because I think this is a good idea. That type of like sureness for anybody listening, when you are sure, that's when you know you're meant to do it.
And you just know when you're a boss too. You just know. Because when you're not in charge of something, or when you're not the boss, it eats you up inside. It just feels awful. I'm in a situation like that right now, my day job, and I'm like, oh my God, I hate not being the boss. Like, I just want to take over this whole thing so bad and make it better, but you're in my way.
It must be so much more frustrating because you are the boss on another end, so you're like, I know what that power
and I got to remember that. I'm the boss at the thing I really care about.
I often have to remind her, I'm like, you know, you are the boss. She got that thing, you are the boss. But you need to keep the job too at the same time.
Exactly, you know?
We got bills to pay, but man, it's the worst feeling when you know you're a boss and you, for whatever reason, can't be in charge. It sucks.
You feel stifled. You feel like I have to swallow something that's so great. So first of all, I know that they absolutely don't cost whatever that amount was anymore. I know it's like 45 times the price of whatever it was. And that was a lesson for me too. Like, if you say no to me now, you're bad. Because the price is only going up, right? Because my excellence, it's getting more refined every day, and I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm expanding. And so I started to understand rejection is their loss, not my loss. Because next time, I'm sure you will pay me. And it's going to be double, triple, quadruple that because of my reach and my name being able to stretch and what I bring and the professional development and the therapy that I'm instituting in my spirit so I can be ready to execute and ready to receive you. That's not going to come at a low cost.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage anybody listening, like, if somebody says no to you, don't trip.
Do not trip.
The next time they come, it's going to be layers to get to you. And it's going to cost more to get to you. And it's going to require more to have you. You might need a green room next time, right? You might have a team of 10 with you next time. You might need a clearport because you got a private jet the next time. And they could have got you in the Prius, but it's too late now. They could have got you, but they played. They played themselves. So it's that type of mindset and energy that I'm excited to be at. Like, that's taken a lot of work to be there. But now that I'm here, like, it's an all gas. Like, I don't need no wick. I'm already lit. Like, I'm ready to go. Yeah.
You mentioned, like, at this chapter in your life, it's all about go. I feel like that's the one word you could use to describe it. How about for Nirvana Soul and for you guys, like, this chapter in your guys' lives and your business, like, how would you guys describe that in one word?
Ooh, one word, this chapter. I don't know. I mean, we just have such a strong vision that we're trying to execute, so it's hard to boil that down to one word.
Execution.
Yeah, I guess execution would be like a good word. I mean, that is like stepping stones, you know what I'm saying?
How about for you personally?
I'm such a big year of person, and usually I have a single word, and this year I chose not to have a single word.
So I caught you on the wrong year.
1 year you asked. You had 36 years to ask.
But there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Like, I guess it could just be freedom, right? So, because I really want to feel as safe as possible. So I'm willing to create that safety for myself with my environment, with my people. That's what matters more to me than anything right now. And I think that when people feel safe, they feel free. And when people feel free, they feel joy. And I want to enjoy my life as much as possible. And I haven't always been that way. I've been a super workaholic, very achievement oriented, very much tied my identity and worth to what I was able to produce. And once I've been able to separate that, I've been just clawing myself back to a life where I'm present and I'm not escaping from whatever stressful or hard or whatever. I'm trying to just live it and breathe it every single moment. And so, yeah, probably safety.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
I guess for me it would be peace. I feel like there's not a lot of things these days that get under my skin. I'm kind of like, okay, like, we'll just get there. Like, I'm not arguing with nobody. Like, I'm just so, like, I'm waking up. I'm going to the gym. I'm listening to, like, books. I'm just in a place that I just never been in, and I'm just embracing being in that space. Like, family, you know, just, like, having good friends. We have bi-weekly dinners, like, you know, with our friends, you know, just even like being in love and just doing things and feeling things that I've just never felt before. And you're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like, you know? So just holding on to that and just embracing it and just being thankful for it. But yeah, I'm like, I'm so unbothered. Like, just like when family's acting like chaotic, I'm like, okay, my employees, yeah, like people like you don't change, like, and I'm just like, I feel like I have to. Where I'm going, I can't let all this stuff get to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to show up like for myself first, you know.
Yeah,
so
and previous versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
you gotta be willing to cut ties with her too. Let
exactly. That old Tronica, you know, she, you know, was hurting and she was, you know, like, you know, weak and maybe insecure in some areas, and
she's not helping us today.
Yeah, she's not. She's not here today at all. So it's like you have to like be willing to like die to that version of yourself. Like, you know, God asks us every single day to like, you know, put on our, you know, new robes and like just die to that old version of yourself every single day, you know? And so I'm just like, okay, like this is the season I'm in now. This is the person I am now. And I'm going to keep growing. And I love seeing that.
My one word, so I used to have a phrase, do it afraid. And then I would use this phrase, do it afraid first, then with confidence. But now my phrase right now is let it marinate. Ooh. And I say that because I've been watching my seeds unfold over time. Charlemagne, the guy, again, very one of those complex people, wrote this book, and it talked about how Black people confuse fear with anxiety. Like, there's no such thing as fear. There's danger. Mm-hmm. But if you're not in danger, it's really you're just anxious because your lack of control. And when you can't predict, you then act out of your anxiety. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of areas where I'm just very anxious, from being poor, from being homeless, from when I'm not in control, I don't feel safe. When harm has come to me, or I've been victimized by circumstances where I wasn't as in the know. And so that can't help but, transfer over into me as a business owner, me as a partner, me as a sister, me as anybody. You go to therapy, you start unraveling all of those areas that you have been so protective of out of your years of being vulnerable and victimized by things that you felt were out of your control, thus developing anxiety about those things. Working on that has let me realize, like, especially as an older sibling, I feel that to the core. Like, I am by nature a problem solver. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a doer. I'm an executor. I'm someone that's also a peacekeeper, a people pleaser for the sense of like safety and follow through. But that's not good, right? Because if people lean on you, they'll cause chaos and then bring me in to resolve the chaos. And it's like, was I supposed to ever sleep or eat or have peace? Like, oh wait, I can control that. And if you don't start, curbing that, then you'll never be able to enjoy your life, And I didn't realize that I had put on so much identity of being an older sibling or being a sister or being the responsible one, that I wasn't allowing Melissa to evolve into the beautiful butterfly she was supposed to be, because I was taking on all these other traumas to try to fix everybody, and it's stressful as hell on that side. And so once you say like, no, everybody's an adult, and somehow they all have bills, which means you know how to function as an adult. Whether I think it's chaotic or not is not my business, and whether or not there is a fire over there, it's not my business, actually. And so learning to recognize when anxiety is showing up, when old traumas are trying to rear their head, when the controlling part of me is trying to show up, but it's only because I'm so used to being the problem solver and being like, if it's supposed to explode, let it explode, because nobody has come to save me when stuff was exploding. But I feel the need to go save them. Where they do that at? So really, I love that. My publicist is feeling me, but like, it's real, and sometimes I say it's a Capricorn thing or an Earth sign thing, but I also think at the end of the day, it's just the programming. That's the programming that's in me, and not recognizing that I deserve to have my own happiness, my own freedom, my own soft life. My own. I am my own safety net, and we came in this world on our own. We're gonna go out on our own. So I better start showing up for Melissa. And I remember I talked to this professor who really believes in the quantum realm. Have y'all heard of the quantum realm? Some people say quantum physics, quantum realm. Basically, it's the idea that the future already exists, and our job is just to walk into the future. And so I took that to therapy, and my therapist was like, so instead of waving and shaking hands with young Melissa, I want you to look at Melissa at 45, look her dead in the eyes, lock in, and walk straight to her. Wow. And I have been in that zone, like, thank you, younger Melissa. You have done excellent with what you had, but I'm locked in.
I like that.
To 10 years from now, Melissa. Like, me and her, we're here. We are best friends. I believe in her. I see her thriving, and I'm like running towards her. Because she was like, you already exist. In your dreams, you already exist. You are already there. But you have to execute to meet her. Your job is to meet the Melissa that already exists. And so I'm just walking in that. Like,
I love that. I like
that already, because I wouldn't be dreaming it if it wasn't able to be, achieved.
Right.
So yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. That's gonna be something I definitely take home with me in the car.
Because future Chesko already exists.
Yeah.
I'm ready to meet him. I'm very ready to meet him. Here.